Giannis Antetokounmpo suffered a left strain injury the other night against the Boston Celtics. So no one has a timeline of how long he's going to be out with this injury, but they were able to confirm no significant damage had been done to his calf after taking a MRI today. I want to read out this excerpt from this article. How long Antetokounmpo will remain sidelined remains to be seen. While no two players experience or recover from an injury in the same way, Lillard suffered a strained soleus, the specific calf muscle Antetokounmpo pulled during the 2022-23 season. Post-game, Lillard said he was out for 2 weeks. That shit hurt, Lillard said of the injury. Usually I'm able to walk things off. I feel like I have a high pain tolerance. And when I did it, I started to walk. It wasn't just that it was that painful, it was that the muscle just can't handle it. So I think once it calmed down, you kind of figured out a way to limp around it, but it's a weird feeling. So the Bucks don't really have a timeline of when he's going to return. This is all speculation for me, but based off of what Lillard said, let's say hypothetically it's only 2 weeks for him to be able to play in the game. So he got hurt on April 9th, which was yesterday. 2 weeks plus 9 would be somewhere around April 23 or the 24th would mark 2 weeks. The playoffs start on April 20th. There's a chance Giannis could miss a game or two for the playoffs with his injury, maybe even longer. Let's say he decides to rush back and play through the pain of this injury. It could still have a huge effect on the game for him and the Bucks that he won't be at 100%. From what I've seen in the past, whenever guys have a calf strain injury, that injury is a straight up bitch to deal with. I've seen guys that are very limited once they get that injury. And it's one of those things that you don't get better until you rest. You need to rest and be 100% to come back to be fully effective. It's very discomforting to deal with from what I've read about, from what I've heard from other players who experienced this. This is a huge blow for the Bucks when you think about their championship aspirations this year. I felt in previous years they had tried a lot harder to win a ton of games in the regular season. This year, they decided to play it safe and just win enough for them to be a top 3 team in the East, but not enough to be a dominant team. I think the hope was from them was that once again, it's the playoffs as a number 2 or number 3 seed, they would be fully healthy and then they could cause some damage from there. That to me was the mentality that they had going into this week for the playoffs. But now with Giannis being hurt, I think that's going to change the whole entire trajectory of how well they could possibly do in the playoffs, depending on the matchups. I look at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. The teams right now, you don't want to play the Sixers here, number 7. Now with Joel Embiid coming back, they're starting to surge again. They're starting to look like a legit team with his presence back in the fold. Then you got Miami at number 8. So those two teams can move up from somewhere between 6 through 8. And you don't really want to play either of those teams. Miami, because of their history of being a disruptor with Jimmy Butler and the style they play, it's very hard to deal with their intensity when they are just at full throttle. They're a relentless team. They're a pain in the ass to deal with, as they proved last year. This year, obviously, I don't think it'll be any different for whoever has to deal with them in round 1. Milwaukee, if they deal with them again, I believe that they could be upset just like last year. This is definitely not an ideal situation for the Bucks to be in if they keep the 2 seed and Miami climbs to number 7, or even if they face Philadelphia. That's a horrible situation to be in without Giannis for the first few games, and if he comes back, he's still not at 100%. So it's a very rough situation. There's a lot of potential for Milwaukee now to be upset in round 1. I also think when you look beyond just this season, this injury is pretty damning because you look at Milwaukee's core, they're not young anymore outside of Giannis. If you think about it, Brook Lopez is over 30, Middleton is over 30, Damian Lillard is over the age of 30. So their core is not young. this is an issue going forward. I feel once you get above 30, you start accumulating all these injuries, and that's when it becomes harder, I feel, to win a title. To be honest, you have to have a lot of luck when it comes to your health. Plus, just keeping up with these younger guys, it gets more and more difficult every year, and you definitely feel it. So this might have been like a golden opportunity blown by them in a sense, not intentionally, but now they might not get this opportunity next year due to their age. You have to really think about it. Even if they were healthy, I think there were question marks for this team. They were terrible defensively this year. They dropped off tremendously from what they have been the last few years previously. So there was no guarantee coming into the playoffs if they were healthy that they were going to win it all. But to me, this kind of seemed like their last chance to win another title, at least with Giannis in Milwaukee. Obviously, if I'm wrong, I'll admit it, but I think this was their last golden opportunity. Maybe they get lucky and Giannis just soldiers through this injury and suddenly he's like superhuman like he was in 2021 when he had that knee injury before the finals and he was able to just heal like a mutant. That's a possibility, but we'll see. I strongly believe that the Bucks won't win the title this year. That's what I'm saying right now, especially with this injury in the fold.